Our next session is session 6. We will talk about the entertainment distribution. Now, this means that you have everything ready, you've done all your work, you've done post-production. However, where are you going to distribute your content and disseminate your content? Now, here with us today is Mom Rachawong Chalerm Chatriyukon, Content Director of View Thailand, and we also have Yolanda Macias, Chief Content Officer. So our first guest, Mom Rachawong Chalerm Chatriyukon, known here in Thailand as Kun Chai Adam or Adam in short. He works at View Thailand, and Yolanda Macias is joining us from Hollywood, USA. She works at Cinedigm, is the Chief Content Officer at Cinedigm. She was also honored as one of the top 50 businesswomen by the Los Angeles Business Journal. So let's begin this session. All right. Hello to you both. สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ Hi.
สวัสดี to Adam and welcome Ms. Macias joining us from Hollywood, USA. Yes?
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, TMF. And hello, Thailand.
Yes, thank you for joining us. First off, I would like to start with Adam. Could you tell us a bit more about View Thailand?
Well, View Thailand has been around for like a couple of years already, and we have been like success so far in bringing like both Asian contents and local contents into the audience of not just in Thailand alone, but in 16 countries around the world, probably in Middle East and Asia Pacifics, and also where we are ever expanding, you know, and right now we have like a new platforms emerging in South Africa as well.
Oh,
so,
South Africa.
Yeah,
okay.
so probably we are kind of like want to connect the dots that most of the Asian contents are not widely known throughout the whole regions, and what we are trying to do is to connect it and trying to leverage the content that we have here in Asia, not just only in Korea, but also in Japan, like animes or series, in content from Hong Kong, from Singapore, or elsewhere, especially in Thailand as well. We are quite hot actually, and our content did pretty well abroad. So what happened is that what we are trying to do here is to achieve the goal of bringing those contents to the point where they are all accepted throughout the world,
okay.
And not just only here in 16 countries. We are also trying hard to approach our partners around the world, especially in South Americas and in Japan. You know, to take our contents, not just only the one that we produce, but also the one that we acquire, and then try to distribute them throughout the world.
All right, so a very important distributor here in Asia and trying to go worldwide as well. And also, Ms. Macias, could you tell us a bit more about Cinedigm?
Sure. Thanks, Danny. Cinedigm is a premier content and channels entertainment company, and I think the best way to illustrate or to demonstrate an entertainment company is through visual demonstration. So I'm hoping we can roll the short video to display Cinedigm at its finest.
Hands in the air, everybody stop and stare when I walk by. No, I don't care. Ain't nobody stopping me till I get my no. Better get ready, cause I might get it. I'm getting better every day. Best of the best. Everybody east to west will know my name. Hashtag rise. I got the gold, yeah, I really won this game. Better get ready, cause I might get it. I'm getting better every day, yeah, I got what it takes. Yeah, I got what it takes. Yeah, I got what it takes. I don't mess with no fake. Shake it up like an earthquake. I'll keep it real, cause I got what it takes. Yeah, I got what it takes. Yeah, I got what it takes. I don't mess with no fake. Shake it up like an earthquake. I'll keep it real, cause I got what it takes. Not every single dream I dreamt is coming true. If I do it, then trust me, baby, so can you. That's right. No, you don't have to see it to believe it. No, close your eyes.
Thank you.
All
So-
right, so that is Cinedigm.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit more. Cinedigm distributes across all ways that an end user wants to ingest the content. So we still distribute theatrically, physical format on DVD, but we really are leaning into digital and specifically the streaming channels. So Cinedigm has 30 streaming channels. And as you saw in the video, you might step back and say, wow, there's a lot of diversity. There's a lot of content, different genres, categories. But in fact, our strategy is very focused. All of our channels are very focused and very precise in serving an underserved audience. So that might be people that are very passionate and fan favorites with a specific genre, like horror, or it could be they want more independent films, like Fandor. So each one of our channels is very specific. It could be anime or family based. We have 46,000 pieces of television series and features and shorts, but that doesn't mean that we are not looking to buy more. We need to buy more because we have 30 channels and we're building those channels to even more, where we need to keep refreshing the channels with new content.
Well, that's something extremely interesting for our audience today, that Cinedigm is looking to buy more. Talking about the content in the market right now, asking View Thailand, what do you think is the current buying market? I mean, what are people looking for?
What are people looking for? If we all know what people looking for, we would be rich by now, right? But the thing is that we're looking for. I think we're looking for the best of their own content. What do I mean by the best of their own content? Is that, and in every types of content, they have their own preference, and I think they have like their own ways of speaking things out. So what happened is that we are looking through each particular genres, each particular types of content, either whether it's anime, whether it's film, whether it's series. We're trying to look into them and see that, compare that to the previous content that is kind of like similar in terms of genres, in terms of production values. How well did this particular content do? You know, and then we kind of like sorted it out that, okay, for example, like let's say like we have like this particular horror series, like 8 episodes, and we take a look at how well it did compared to like the previous one. Or the other types of horrors in the market. Is it like trending right now? How well is the cast? How well is the story? Does it surprise us in terms of like, does it take us to the place where we never been before? You know, so I kind of like, that's what we are looking for, is like the best of themselves, not just like what people want. Because like sometimes that if we're following the market, then we don't take them to like new places, right?
Because the market is dictating
yes.
too much.
Yes, maybe they're dictating too much. Yeah, that's true. And so what happened is that we're trying to be very diverse of what we are buying. Not just us. I mean, like everywhere else in the world, they are looking for things that helps the like diverse their types of contents. Otherwise, if you're kind of like making the same content over and over and over again, what happens is that people will get bored out of it. So what happened is, I think that people should be very unique on what they do, but they have to do it very well, and it has to be really, really entertaining.
Okay, so focusing on the content providers and producers doing original content. This seems to be similar to Cinedigm, Yolanda, is it not? Because you have a plethora of content that you are saying you are still interested in buying. You have 46,000 series or films that you mentioned. What is the buying market right now for Cinedigm?
So if I may share my screen, I'd like to show it through some slides and we can talk about the market.
Sure.
Okay. So what I first would say is that the global streaming market is a $60 billion market. I mean, that is enormous. The US enthusiast market, we call these you know, specialty channels enthusiasts, because it's where people go where they want to see deeper dive content, more content, and they're passionate about it. Again, it could be anime, it could be an icon. We have an Elvis Presley channel, for example. Of that $3 billion just in the US alone, we only make up 50 million. So you can see the headroom. There's huge opportunity. There's a CAGR of 13.4% into 2025. So the market is right. Then we looked at it from, well, where's the revenue coming from? And the revenue is coming from the ad-supported business. So just like traditional media, where it was on television, broadcast, satellite, cable, all the cord cutting has happened and accelerated during the pandemic. And advertisers were somewhat on the sideline. They weren't completely confident to put their dollars and their spend in streaming channels. That is different. Today, advertisers are spending in the ad-supported market, or what we call FAST, which is the free advertise-supported television. And that is the fastest growing segment. As you can see, it's growing at 25%. And by 2025, it'll be a $70 billion business. Then we look at consumer habits and we say, what has been going on, especially in the height of the pandemic, at least in the US, and we believe that is a trend for the global markets, is that people were very comfortable in subscribing to 6, 7, 8 different subscription services. So of course, they're gonna have the general entertainment services like Netflix or Amazon or HBO Max or Disney Plus, but they also want enthusiast channels because it's very complementary to the general entertainment. They want a deeper dive. So the cord cutting will continue, and we believe that the consumers have already stated that this is how they want to engage with content through the streaming services. So we believe it's very, very promising. We continue, as I mentioned, we're searching for content to not only launch new channels. You need at least 150 hours to launch a channel, but you also need to refresh those channels at least 20-25% per month. So there's a lot of demand to access content and bring it into our channels. Not only are we searching, but we're also going to be, we've taken a key initiative is to expand beyond North America. We're primarily a North American company. We do have global partners in 187 different territories, primarily on the transactional side, but we plan to expand our channels into other markets, focus first on LATAM, Europe, and Asia.
Okay, very interesting stuff. Coming back to Adam, could you give us a little bit more insight on right now what is the genre? Because you talked about horror as well, but what genre right now do you think is in high demand in the global market that you are trying to expand in?
Well, to be honest, like there's different types of genres will give like a different taste and different markets. But in terms of Asia, especially in Asia, I can give like a lot more insight into Asia. It's like most of the subscription users, like let's say more than 60% are females, or maybe like female aligned content. So probably mostly they if they're anything mixture between like a romance and some other genres, like nowadays they don't have like a single pure genres on some particular contents. There's more like a mixture of things. You might see that they have like some kind of like a romance mixed with action, romance mixed with horrors, or with epic historicals, romance. You know, romance are like kind of like the key things here that makes lots of content travels quite a lot. So. As you can see, like not just only in View, but the other platform as well in Asia, and Asia is quite large market, like especially in mainland China or in Korea. As you can see, some global platforms are growing quite substantially in Asian markets despite the global recessions. And when you take a look at those content that perform really well on those platforms, including View, you see like on the top 10 list, always some sort of like the Asian romance
Okay, so
mixed
romance.
with things, mixed with some other
The
things.
Asian market likes
Yeah.
romance mixed with maybe comedy or horrors and stuff like that.
Yes, but you have to be like cleverly done as well. Like there are lots of like success stories, but at the same time there's a lots of failure stories as
Yep.
well. So what happened is that a lots of people trying to be like what I call a Me Too production. For example, that there are some types of like a new romance like plots coming out, and then and all of a sudden a lots of production houses in Asia starts following the same path, and that which leads to doom, you know. And so what happened is that you can still stick to those types of genres, but at the same time you have to find your own unique perspective on that as well.
Okay, very interesting. Talking about Cinedigm now, I know Yolanda talked about the deeper dive market, or as you called it, the enthusiast channel. These are very specific to the markets. Which one right now is performing the best, in your opinion?
Well, our best performing channel, believe it or not, is the Bob Ross channel. Do you all know who he is?
I'm a big
So
fan of
he's the
Bob Ross.
Okay, the Bob Ross channel, and why is that?
And what we believe, of course, he's a lovable, artist, but we also believe that it's ambient programming. So a lot of
Okay.
people will turn it on and leave it in the background as they're doing their day-to-day activities.
Does this happen a lot in
but-
the United States as well? I'm sorry to interrupt. Does this happen a lot? I mean,
Yeah.
you said ambient content, they just leave the TV on. Because relating it to here in Thailand, I hear this a lot when people are watching the news. Not necessarily TV programs or series, but mostly about the news. But you're saying that this happens with television or streaming content as well.
Right. It could be Bob Ross in our case, but it also could be nature shows. But we do think there's certain genres that travel well. And I agree
Okay.
with Adam that from our perspective, horror travels well, action travels well. And there's a new up and coming category that is growing very quickly, but it's a smaller segment or category, and that's true crime or true
Okay.
stories. So series or docu-series or even scripted about people or events that seem too unreal, better than fiction. So you've seen like the WeWork story or the Uber story or just plain crime is doing very, very well.
Tinder
So
swindler.
I correct.
Yeah, something
And I'm
like
sure there could be episodics on that, a series where there's a Tinder swindler happening every day, right? But from a horror, so we've doubled down on horror. So we have Screenbox, which is an SVOD channel, and we have Bloody Disgusting, which is an AVOD, and it has a podcast as a component. So we think also content that is based on IP, or even now podcast is sort of the new way of discovering content. That is sort of the future of where content creation is going to, or is happening. But with horror, someone had asked me, what specifically makes horror better than other horror? And what we believe is that horror is really, really optimistic genre because the budget itself can be very contained. You can really be able to produce something that is going to be very popular, maybe even a franchise, at a very contained production budget. And that's because you don't have to really necessarily cast with big name talent. What's more important to the horror fans is the directors. The directors can inform the audience as to what they're going to see in the film itself. So for example, you might have John Carpenter or who's known, from Halloween or The Thing, and he's known for some of the biggest staples of the genre. Or you may have David Cronenberg, who did The Fly or Videodrome, and he's known for body horror. James Wan or Wes Craven, did Nightmare on Elm Street. He's known to build franchises. So you get the idea. When you attach a director it informs the audience. Okay, I know I'm going to go in and see a slasher
I
film,
see.
for example.
Okay.
And excited about it. So that's important. But the cast, I'm not saying it's not important, but you don't have to pay for high amounts for bigger casts. But what is important is that cast have social following, and you need to ensure that when they are attached to your film, that they have agreed and committed to promote the film through their social followers.
Okay, so directors are also very important. Touching upon the deeper dive market or enthusiast channel that you have mentioned, I have a question about a market that seems to be growing more and more in Asia. This question goes to you, Yolanda, because you are in Hollywood, and then I would like to know if this is also growing in the West as well. In Thai, it is called Series Y, which is about queer/gay, but not really, two guys, very good friends with one another, but they are not really out as gay, but they're not really gay, but maybe they are gay, but oh, we don't know, something like that. Are you familiar with this concept in Asia that is happening right now in terms of what's happening in Hollywood? How is the West taking this on, or what are your thoughts on this? I just want to know.
Well, the LGBTQ market or audience is an underserved audience. So that is ripe for a channel that is focused on, underrepresented individuals in all forms of content. It could be scripted, comedy, romance. So we haven't carried one yet, but it doesn't mean that we're not searching for that kind
Okay,
of
so
content.
it might be a growing market. But what I'm saying is this is different from LGBTQ Western movies, such as, I'll give an example, Call Me By Your Name, right? It's pretty straightforward what's going on there. This boy likes this man, and then they have a relationship, and then it's revealed at the very end of the film that, oh, the boy's dad is in fact gay, right? However, these things are not revealed in these Asian series at all. And I'm just wondering if a concept like this is prevalent in the West as well, because it's getting to be a big hit in Asia. It's different. It's quite different from LGBTQ films.
We had like a word for it. Like normally we use the word bromance.
Yeah, bromance. There you go.
Yep.
Something like that. But it's like they're not
interesting.
gay. You know what I'm saying, Yolanda? It's like they don't come out specifically as being gay or queer, but it's like bromance.
Yeah.
So I'm just
I think that
wondering on your thoughts
forth.
of that.
I mean, you've had all the buddy, comedies or road travel films where that's always sort of a question mark. I think Western scriptwriters tend to be a little bit more on the nose. And then you have the Gen Zs that are, there's no labels. It's very fluid.
Yeah, there you go.
There's no reason to even discuss it because there's no definition. They're not defined by any norms.
Okay, because some of the directors right now here in our audience maybe are focusing on this genre as well, which is because it's being exported to China, in Japan. I mean, in Thailand.
A lot. So we had like a lots of co-investment with Japanese investors, and it's actually made quite big in Mexico, in Pan Am, and in France and Russia. These are kind of like a very big market. They are big buyers for these particular types of genres. We call boy love series.
Okay, boy love, not romance. Boy love, okay.
BL. We normally use the word BL for it,
BL.
and there's a lots of like a large fan base, and a lots of actors had like a world tour in Pan Am and in Europe, and they made substantial amounts of money out of those tours.
But the difference is, again, Yolanda, I'm sorry to go back to this again and again, but at the very end of the film, they don't come out as gay, right?
They do sometimes.
But very little.
Yeah, very little.
Very
yes.
little.
They're very subtle.
Subtle
like Brokeback
signs,
Mountains, yeah.
but they don't straight come out like in Western films, because in Western films, they have the bromance, and then it ends with, oh, I love you, and then we become boyfriends. Correct?
Yes.
However, in these bromance films, you don't really know what's going on there,
Yeah, not
and
yet,
then it keeps people still in suspense.
Yes.
So this is why I'm saying this This is an interesting market that seems to be growing in Asia. Could I say subtle boy love queerness? I'm not sure how to say this.
It's more like they're more like putting like a Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse effects on this particular content. So
Okay.
they don't kind of like get together, but at the same time they have like those like romance moments. So that it actually aiming not towards the LGBTQ community, but actually towards the female audiences.
See, the female audiences. This is not the LGBT community as well. The audience is female.
Yes.
This is another interesting aspect of this genre.
So and then like those females there, they thought that in Asia it's very weird, Yolanda, is that they thought that having two guys in two leads guys in the same series are better than have like the guys and the girls in the same series. So they can watch double the pleasure of seeing the guys. So and that's what makes like the boy love series are so successful in Asia.
I think there's more to talk about on this, but I think we should start moving on. Back to Cinedigm. What do you think, Yolanda, is the strength and weaknesses of Thai content right now?
Oh, well, I should probably ask Adam to start with that because I'm not as familiar with Thai content, but I can I can describe after Adam goes, what are the opportunities for Thai content?
We'll start with that.
So if start like our strength is that we have like a really solid industry by now, but we don't have enough like capital, to compare that to Korea and China. They some series might come up with like 100 to 200,000 US dollars per episode, or it can go even higher as $1 million US dollars per episodes for some series in East Asia, not just only in East Asia, but I mean the whole world. They are raising capitals to raise the production values. In Thailand, most of the series still working towards like 40,000 US dollars or 50,000 US dollars per episode, which is quite low compared to other countries with the same size of production values. We are kind of like very proficient in making things looks bigger than its cost, and also that we have a lot of cast, and actors that we, it's kind of like hidden gems that we would be able to push out into the world. Compare that when you take a look at that compared to Singapore markets or Hong Kong's, they are much more able to take these casts, and bring them to the world, and make them travels. But in Thailand, we don't have that opportunity that much yet. We don't have enough people to help sellings or making things travels. People who have enough knowledge of how to distribute them abroad. We have very less of them. I've seen only a few in AFM, American Film Market, in MIPSCOMs or Film Mart, Hong Kong Film Mart, or even Cannes Film Markets, and there are less ties than the others, other Asians, investor distributors, or also from the West as well. So we kind of like need to ramp up these kind of people to help out bringing more Thai content to the world.
All right. Your thoughts on that, Yolanda?
Thank you. Yeah. So I think that I'm glad to hear that there's focus on series as much or more than features. So the series are really important for the streaming market. And it's important because a feature, a feature that did theatrical may bring customers into and drive traffic into a channel, but it's the TV series that keeps the customer there, that keeps the viewer there, that keeps the advertising dollars coming into the channel. So it's really important that series continue to be created. It's also becoming much more efficient. So the budgets that you just said are actually becoming more the norm with streaming channels. It doesn't need to be at that broadcast quality level that required the higher budgets. So many people are getting away with $50,000, $75,000 per episode. And then I would say that IP is really important. I would encourage, research and getting options or acquiring IP. When you bring that to the table, it's far more interesting because you can continue to create derivative work from that IP. And then also what is, I think, a huge opportunity and just really exciting for not just Thailand, but other countries, is that before, at least as a buyer for North America, we used to, as early as 2 years ago, we used to not take any or, view or evaluate any foreign language content. That is not the case. We are looking at foreign language content as no different than any other piece of content. And that's, I give a lot of credit to the pandemic, because people stayed at home and were watching more content, and they gave it a shot. They watched foreign language series and films, and now they got used to, viewing foreign language through subtitles or dubs.
Well, I think that's great news for our Thai content producers then. So we don't need to translate everything into English and have the actors speaking in English. We can have everybody speaking in Thai. And then Cinedigm is saying that the Western market, or people in Cinedigm who are subscribed to those streaming services, are giving foreign films a shot, is what you're saying.
That's correct.
I think you answered our last questions as the advice to Thai media producers, being original and also producing things that have not been seen before. I would like to pass it on to Kun Adam. Could you give some advice to the Thai audience watching right now, whether it be directors, producers, or production houses? What advice would you have for them right now in order to expand to the international market? Because Yolanda also said that people are also giving foreign films a shot.
Well, I think that the main key is that you have to watch more. Lots of people have been watching only like the top, the tip of the iceberg. Only a couple of series that was released or was promoted, so you don't know what's the real market size is and what opportunity that lies ahead. So what happened is that you have to watch the content from every countries to see like how it goes, what people likes, what people don't like, how they take things. And if you watch more, you will learn more, you see more. Because I know that every production houses in Thailand, they have skills. I knew almost all of them personally, and so what happened is that what I learned from knowing all these people throughout the years is that they don't know how large the market is, and so they try to focus on only a couple of types of genres of particular types of series or films that they think it works, but sometimes there's a lot more to it. If you watch like Taiwanese content or Chinese content or Japanese content, you know that what their preference is. And so I encourage you all to watch more.
Production houses and directors.
Yeah, production house, directors, distributors, producers, even actors, actresses. I hope they'll watch more of the content that is beyond their reach,
Right.
So try to search more, and probably you see more, and you see their preference, and that why these types of things so popular. So like lots of people have been wondering like why Boy Love is so popular, because they haven't watched it. They haven't watched those Boy Love, not just only in Thailand but in other countries. They don't watch like those types of like indie horror films, or they don't watch like documentaries, and how would you know like why is it good? So you better watch more, and then you'll learn a lot more.
Learn about the market. An interesting question from the audience member for the both of you. I mean, what is the criteria that you are looking for when you pick and choose which content you will have on your platform? We can start with Adam.
First of all, we watch this. We have like some sort of like preference for based on our stats, right? But at the same time, we want to find something unique and fresh. So I'm kind of like giving 50%, of what our platform performs. So what happened if you want to submit some projects for view, watch view. As I said before, watch more. When you watch view, you see the patterns of what makes this platform success, and then don't just copy them right away.
Yep.
Find the other 50% that makes it unique, makes it like new. Take the audience to new territories, but at the same time they feel familiar with things that makes like this platform so successful in Southeast Asia. We are number one here. You know, so
Okay.
what happens is that learn from the top content here, and then brings them to the new world. And that's what we are looking for. That's the
Alright.
criteria.
Very interesting. What about Cinedigm? What criteria does Cinedigm have?
Yeah, I would say the criteria is for if it's for our channels, and we do deals non-exclusively and exclusively for our channels. It's whether or not it's a fit. It's a fit for that channel. It's a fit for that audience. It will make sense and be complementary to what already exists in the channel. And also, as I mentioned, we're expanding into other international territories.
Yep.
So when we get to Thailand, for example, we're going to need localized content. So we will be able to not only bring over the channel as it is, but then reserve room for local content.
Yolanda, I will tell you right now, boy love. Yolanda, when you come to Thailand, you need to look in more about boy love and this genre here. There are
Yes, it sounds like a phenomenon.
up-and-coming directors, up-and-coming production houses doing this genre. Another question going to for Yolanda, talking about the channel that you mentioned earlier, the Bob Ross channel. If it's so successful in the United States, a member of the audience asked, is it possible for Thai audiences to follow in Bob Ross's footsteps? What do you think about that?
So it's two things, right?
Yep.
Is Bob Ross that popular that it can travel into other markets? Absolutely. We already did it where Bob Ross is now speaking Espanol. So I can see that Bob Ross will be speaking multiple languages. And then the question is there a similar artist like Bob Ross in Thailand? And you guys would know that best, but it would, if it can travel, then that's who I would invest in. Clearly, Bob Ross has a following for 30 years. So I don't know if somebody like that exists, but it should be explored. It's a surprise for us how well Bob Ross channel has performed.
Okay, so it needs to attract the international market. I think that pretty much wraps up our session right now. Our next session, please don't go anywhere because we have a very special Q&A session with all our speakers. So that is up next.